All right, Jen. Hello.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Right on time. As I mentioned, welcome again. This is Gustavo from Cream City Mortgage, and we have Jen Strelka here. Go ahead, Jen.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on live Instagram this time around. So welcome to Real Talk Homes and Money. This is the second in our series. And tonight we're going to talk about something that we hear constantly from our clients. The question is now a good time to buy, sell, or should we wait? And more specifically, why waiting for the perfect market can actually cost you guys money. So let's get into it. Gustavo and I have had these conversations behind the scenes all the time, and we realize that people are actually waiting for the perfect rate, the perfect price, the perfect market, the perfect season, or even the perfect sign to move forward. The problem is waiting can actually cost you guys money. So, having said that, Gustavo, when someone says to you, I'm waiting for the perfect rate, what does that mean to you as a lender?
So, first of all, there's no perfect rate, right? Mainly what we try to do is work with our buyers, with the clients, and say, hey, what is your budget? Because at the end of the day, the rate's not really going to matter. So, waiting for the rate is really going to be very hard just because we don't know what's going to happen. Rates can fluctuate, rates can change. So, really, the bigger, more important question is what is your budget, right? Because that's what's going to determine what it is that you're going to be able to afford. And also, as you're looking at homes, you're going to know what that's going to entail as far as a price point.
Right. And I'm actually hearing something very similar on the selling side. Most people actually wait for a number. They're waiting for certainty, but there's not a bell that magically goes off that says, "Hey, by the way, this market is at its peak. It is the perfect time for you to move forward." There's no headline that says this is the moment. So the market really gives certainty in real time, and unfortunately, a lot of times a lot of people will see that certainty in the rearview mirror. But here's what often happens when buyers wait for the, but well, actually, that's what happens when buyers mostly wait for the perfect rate. More homes hit the market, which means more competition hits the market, and they kind of lose some of their buying power. A lot of buyers are sitting on the sideline, and so the minute that rate starts going down, more buyers are entering the market. And unfortunately, we just don't have the inventory right now to handle all the demand that we have. So waiting, what does that actually cost people on the lending side? And not like a hypothetically, but like real numbers.
So, in by waiting, essentially, what that means is now that home that they're looking at buying is going to be probably a little bit more costly to them. Where, let's say right now that home, for example, is 400,000, right?
Mhm.
Well, in 3 months, when the market gets hot, or for that matter, in the next 6, 9 months, that home now is no longer is going to be 400,000. Now that home could be 410, 420. So in dollars, I mean that could be $50 to $100 more a month, depending on the price point, depending on the rate. And so that obviously adds up over the course of time. And so waiting for that perfect grade doesn't necessarily mean because now also, as you mentioned, there's competition. So if there's going to be more competition, now that house is going to be more expensive because of the buyer's going to have to compete to get that home in. And then the next question is, what is that number going to be? What are they willing to compete? Are they willing to just say, you know what, I'm going to sit on the sidelines again, kind of a thing, right? And so, with that being said, I'm going to stop right here, Jen, and just make sure people know, hey, if you guys have any questions, please throw it in the chat. We're going to do our best to try and answer your questions, but always, you can always DM us, and we're happy to take this offline as well. Okay, but yeah, go ahead, Jen.
Well, and also you mentioned that waiting, it's do they want to compete for that price? But it's not even the price factor. When there's a lot of competition, you also buyers just lose a lot of things that are in their favor. They may have to waive inspection, which can cost them in the long run for maintenance on the home. It may not appraise out at the price that they want. They feel like they're overpaying for a home. They may have to give post occupancy, and emotionally, it can take a toll on buyers just because if they may lose a few offers, and so they may feel like I'm done with this market, I've exhausted it, I need to take a break, and then they decide to rent. And so it goes beyond just the actual number. And also waiting to sell can cost the sellers money as well. They have maintenance that they have to take care of. They have taxes and property taxes, they tend to increase year over year. They also are competing with other listings that may go on during the spring market, which is what everybody waits for. But if you put your home on the market right now, you're not against five other homes in your neighborhood. So it just waiting in itself, it just causes a lot of consequences, right? And then if someone is sitting on the fence right now, and Gustavo, this is a question that I have for you. If someone's sitting on the fence right now, what should they actually be evaluating instead of chasing perfect?
You know, the most important thing is right now timeline and what makes sense for you as a buyer right now, right? That's I think the most important thing because trying to catch lightning in a bottle is going to be very difficult. But when buyers come to us, we always say, when is the right time? The right time is now or whenever that's the time for you as a buyer. So making sure we plan accordingly with the potential, if you have a lease right now, right? That's going to be, we got to make sure we time it out so that you're not paying a lease and a mortgage at the same time. We have to time out what, if you're waiting for a certain bonus, for example, for a down payment, everything has to kind of align, but that's why you're working with us, or your trusted mortgage lender and broker, right?
No, us.
Realtor to ensure still us, yes, but nonetheless, to make sure that we can guide you through that process and make sure that we plan accordingly, right? It's almost like a little mortgage planning, if you will, where we want to make sure that everything else is aligning. And if you are looking for a certain neighborhood, then this also gives you the time to plan accordingly, plan ahead and look for that payment. And so what I always say is the most important thing is payment, because that's what you're gonna every month you're gonna be like, oh, I'm making a $2,000 payment, right? Versus you don't want to be saying, oh, I'm paying a $380,000 loan, right? Nobody says that. So it's all about the budget, it's all about the payment. So timeline and paying, making sure that everything else aligns is really kind of what we're looking for. And we're going to work with you as a client, as a buyer, to ensure that that rate falls in line with your budget, right? And so if the rates go up, well, that's either going to drop your buying power, or if your rates go down, that's going to increase your buying power because now you can afford more home. But at the end of the day, the payment's going to hopefully be the same.
Correct, right. And also, we are, it's like you mentioned before, it's about timeline and your goals, right? So we're not here to push, hey, you need to buy right now. It's really what makes sense for your goals, your financial goals, your life goals. In real estate, we always say that people move because of diapers, they move because of diamonds, meaning you got engaged, and move because of divorce, they move because of death. So we're here to work with your timeline. We're not trying to rush anybody into a move. It's all about understanding the cost of waiting and what that means for you, and just to be really intentional with your decision. Gustavo and I, one of our biggest things is that we have the most amount of patience, and we're here to guide you through the process. So even if you're thinking about purchasing, your timeline fits you, in the beginning of fall or late summer, we're still here right now to help you line everything up appropriately to make sure that you guys are ready to make that move at that time. And the pricing, your monthly payment, and your location and your price point makes complete sense to you at that time. Okay, and so Gustavo mentioned this earlier, but we do love engagement. So if you guys have any comments, I see that someone is writing notes. I do believe that is Mr. John that is writing notes over there. So if you guys do have any questions, any concerns, any experience that you're currently going through right now that you need clarification on, we're always here to help. If you are waiting for the right price, the right rate, or just a clear sign, we're here to provide you with some guidance. All right, so Gustavo, one thing that people assume about rates, what is the one thing that people assume currently right now about rates or just lending in general?
Well, I mean, it's a very loaded question, Jen, but in in theory is obviously number one, everybody always wants the lowest rate possible, right? And so it's very hard to assume or to know when that's going to happen, right? When the rates are going to drop or when things are going to happen. So I would say right now, it really comes down to just, again, going back to what we're saying is like, what makes more sense for you as a potential buyer? Um, There are different type of loan programs out there, right? So depending on rates, we can also put you in a specific program, depending on whether we're going on a conventional loan, VA loan, FHA loan. So really, it just really depends on what program you qualify for as a buyer. At the same time, keep in mind, we obviously are creative, right? Our goal is to find the best product for you. And so here at Crimson State Mortgage, we are very creative. This is one of our pillars, and we do our best to try to ensure that at the end of the day, the buyer not only feels comfortable with the payment, but also feels comfortable with the home and the product that they're getting into for their home. And like you said, things life happens, things change, and so that doesn't mean just because you have a loan that you're stuck with that loan forever. So that's another myth as well. Rates can change, meaning we can refinance if down the road if things were to happen. If you have PMI, PMI stands for private mortgage insurance. PMI is also something that can be removed depending on what type of loan you're looking at doing. And so really there are a lot of things. One of the other things that obviously is also about perfect timing that we talked about before is, we talked a little bit about this in the recast process, right? And so why is that important? Some buyers have said, hey, I want to wait until I sell my house. Well, if you sell your house, you're obviously going to have the equity of the home to be able to put down, right? But some buyers, are luckily able to go ahead and tap into the equity now and hopefully take advantage of the low rates, but more importantly, take advantage of also getting ahead of the curve and not having as much competition, because now you have less contingencies in your offer. And so having the ability to know that, hey, once I can buy my house now, and then once I sell my home, I can take that money and then apply it towards my mortgage that I took out. And then now essentially it's called a recast. And essentially your monthly payment will be lower and a little bit more, I guess you can call it attractive. After the dust settles, the home is sold and everything's good to go. So that's where, again, rate is important, but it's also the whole package deal that we want to get creative, and we want to be able to provide you with options, right? So that you as a buyer can make a better sound decision in that sense when you are looking at putting an offer in.
Perfect. And I'm glad that you did bring up the recast situation, because I do have a lot of clients that they're kind of stuck right now where they do want to buy because they outgrew their starter home, they had families, whatever the case may be. And they're kind of stuck with, well, how can I afford a new home while I'm still living in my current home? And I don't want to, be stuck with two mortgage payments. I don't want to sell my home and then all of a sudden I'm scrambling to find my second home. So having those options for people that have to do a buy-sell situation is a great option for many of our clients. And I think that's why a lot of people do tend to wait a little bit, because they're trying to find that perfect situation. But I'm glad we have a solution for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's all about being flexible and providing that potential solution for everybody. And so we want to make sure that we would find those solutions for all of our clients.
And I will say to those that are listening, Gustavo and I thrive on being extremely creative with our offers. So when we come across situations like this, we will do everything possible to make sure it works out for you, the buyer, and be as creative as possible to make sure that we do ensure that accepted offer. So,
absolutely.
So we're actually going to be wrapping up. We have decided that we're going to keep this a little bit smaller, a little bit shorter. Again, if you guys have any questions, any comments, feel free to add them into the comment line, or you can reach out to us individually. I am on Instagram. Gustavo is on Instagram. And so you can DM us, or you can send emails, text messages. We respond to anything. Our next live is going to be March 4th. So unfortunately, we do have some scheduling conflicts coming up the next few weeks. Thank you, Michael. We try to be very helpful for everybody, so I do appreciate the feedback. And then, so look to put it on your calendar for March 4th. That will be our next live. And again, we want to make sure that you guys know we're not trying to rush you into a situation, but we do feel that it's very important to share with you guys the cost of waiting. So many people don't understand that there is an actual cost in waiting. I do have clients that have been looking for 4 years. That house price and their price range has definitely changed, because homes do increase in value year over year. And then competition, of course, drives that price up. So We just want to make sure that you guys do make a confident decision, not a fearful one, and we're here to help you make that confident decision. So if there's really one thing that we want you to take away from tonight is that there's no such thing as perfect timing in real estate or money.
We can never promise perfect, but we can promise honesty. That's for sure, right, Jen?
Absolutely, you guys. So, oh, my husband and I are looking to buy this spring. Do you have any questions on that, Michael, or do you just want to let us know that you're looking so you should be on our radar? He may not respond right away. I will follow up on you.
But yes, like I said, with that being said, yeah, any questions, feel free to reach out to us directly. We do appreciate you having us and taking the time of your evening here to listen to us. Like I said, we're going to keep it short and simple and sweet. If there's any topics that you would like to be discussed in the future, please send us. Happy to discuss it. Otherwise, we will also continue to bring value and bring more information to you as well.
If you guys have any topics that you would like us to discuss in the future, please let us know. And yes, Michael, we can keep you on the radar. And I'm glad that these are helping you. And that is our main goal, is to help everybody. And again, provide guidance, and so you guys can make a confident decision. So that's it for us for this Wednesday evening. Enjoy the rest of your week. And we will see you guys again March 4th. Cream City Mortgage live on Instagram. And this is Real Talk with Homes and Money. And we'll talk to you all later.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.